Hello folks! Now that the first season of Delves is well underway and hopefully most of the weird scaling issues have been flushed out, I thought it was a good time to give you my 10 top tips to make the best out of your Delve experience and make sure that you can maximise the rewards you get. If you've been struggling to achieve your goals in Delves, or maybe you have some undergeared alts that you also want to throw into the mix, then this guide is hopefully for you. But even if you're a seasoned Delver, do stick around, you never know what you may have missed. Tip number 1 is be thoughtful about how and when you use your Coffer Keys. When you complete one of the 4 daily Bountiful Delves, you'll get a purple Bountiful Coffer chest, and this will give you a guaranteed piece of loot. But opening one will require that you consume one of your restored Coffer Keys. We get 4 guaranteed keys every week from various open world activities, including the weekly chest in Donegal and most of the open world events like the Theatre Troupe, Awakening the Machine, the Snuffling Treasure Weekly, Empowered World Crest, and the Halifalt Spreading the Light event. You're also going to get key fragments from many sources, including World Quest and the World Soul Memory event. 100 fragments will make you an additional key. Realistically, this means that depending on how hard you go at it, you're going to get maybe 5 to 7 keys in total. This can make them a bit of a precious resource. The best gear drops from level 8 Bountiful Delves, and the widespread advice to only use keys in level 8 does have a lot of merit to it, assuming that you can do them at that level on your character. If you cannot do a level 8 and you don't do Mythic 8 or Heroic or higher raiding, then it is still worth considering using those keys in lower levels just to farm the gear. While time and practice will help you improve at Delves, there's no doubt that gearing up is going to be the biggest lever you have to pull to help you progress. It's really not the end of the world if you don't get a Heroic item level piece in week 1, especially if what you do does enable you to get to those higher levels in the following week. World of Warcraft seasons last for months, not weeks, so you've plenty of time. Tip number 2 is think about how and when you're going to do your Bountiful Delves. Every day, one delve in each zone gets flagged as a Bountiful Delve, which means you can only do 4 per character per day. Even if you don't use your key, that delve will no longer be bountiful after you complete it. What this means is that if you're ranking up your delves to unlock a higher tier, you're going to want to avoid the bountiful ones until you get as high as you can. But that doesn't mean that you should never go into a Bountiful Delve if you don't have a key. Even if you don't use a key in a Bountiful Delve, you're still going to get slightly better reward, including a chance at a Delver's Bounty map. This map, which is a 4% drop chance, when used, will guarantee that your next Delve will have a hidden trove chest, which awards gear at the same level as your weekly vault, i.e. substantially higher than the norm. This loot is based on the level of the delve you did to earn the map. This means that if you're sure you don't want to use a key in a delve later the same day, then it is still worth prioritizing those Bountiful Delves, especially at the higher rank. Tip 3 is that the Great Vault really doesn't care if a delve is bountiful or not, or even if you use a key, it still unlocks a slot. This means that when it comes to filling up your vault row, you can do any type of delve you want. This is great news, as filling up the open world row takes doing 8 delves, which for a lot of us is going to exceed the number of keys that we'll be getting in a week. With the vault being the only guaranteed source of the best gear from delves, opening up as many slots as you have time to do is super valuable, especially as you start to kit your character out with that gear. Moving into the delves themselves, and we have tip 4, which is Bran's build. Pretty much the first decision you'll face in a delve is what to do with Bran. Click in the crate and you can choose if Bran is a healer or a DPS. And as you level up, you're going to unlock slots where you can slot little talents in that you'll be gradually collecting as you do the delves. But what should you pick? Well, here's a suggestion from me. If you're going DPS or tank and you're doing one of the harder levels of delves, I do recommend going for a build that mixes DPS and healing. To do that, set Bran to healer mode and then go ahead and choose Porcelain Arrowhead Idol as your combat curio and Amorphous Relic as your utility curio. Porcelain Arrowhead Idol gives you a significant crit bonus, And while it won't do much for Bran's damage, it is going to amp yours up quite a bit. Despite the other slot being named utility, there are actually a couple of options which can also boost your damage. My personal pick is Amorphous Relic, which has a 50-50 chance of giving you either a 2% flat damage boost or a 2% haste boost, both of which are very nice to have. If you're a healer or you're at the stage where you're starting to outgear the Delves and survival is a non-issue, then just set Bran to DPS mode. This will help to speed the run up a little bit. For healers, you're going to need to self-heal a bit more, but the extra damage from Bran will more than offset that DPS loss. Tip number 5 is to tank it. If you play a class with a tank specialization and you're familiar enough with playing that spec, then it is worth switching to tank mode when you're doing a harder level of Delve. While it will take a bit longer to defeat the enemies, it's not that much longer and your chances of surviving pools is going to be a lot higher. That said, I do not recommend tanking for Zekvir's Lair, at least until you outgear it a bit. That encounter does have some DPS checks which can be quite challenging to overcome, especially in an undergeared tank. Tip number 6 is to not kill the end boss in a Bountiful Delve when you have 0 lives left. If you use up all your lives in a delve, the delve is not over. You can still complete it, but you're going to get far fewer rewards. More importantly, in a Bountiful Delve, after you complete it, it removes the Bountiful status for that day, and that means you will not get the all-important Bountiful Coffer. But if you leave a delve before the last boss is killed, it won't remove that Bountiful status, and that gives you the option of trying again. Tip number 7 is to raid the shinies to level up Bran. Leveling up Bran is actually important. While there have been bugs with how he scales, as those bugs are getting fixed, Bran's level is starting to matter more and more. At lower levels, when he's below 15, he's kinda pointless. But once you get up into the 20s, you do start to notice him making a difference. Bran gets experience from just doing the delve, but dotted around the delves are lots of little shiny urns, and all of these also grant bonus XP, accelerating that leveling process. Once Bran hits level 15, he only gets XP from Bountiful Delves, which does mean that it becomes even more worth prioritising those Bountiful Delves, even if you don't plan to spend a key on them that day. For tip number 8, also loot the other chests. There are a bunch of one-time chests dotted around delves. These have a ton of useful stuff in them, but most notably they offer Torghast-style buffs that can make a difference to your run. There are actually multiple versions of each delve, so even if you get all the chests in a delve, don't be surprised if you see a few more show up in future runs, at least for a little while. Some of the chests look at first impressions to be quite impossible to reach, but that's because they have been designed to be little mini puzzles. Keep an eye out for ways to maybe jump down on them, or look for little ledges or planks to help you reach them. For tip number 9, and it's how to use the health potions. If you've used Bran's health potions, you probably notice that they often don't really seem to do very much. The reason for this is that as well as giving you a small amount of immediate health, they actually put a heal over time on you, and this can stack up. What this means is that it does matter how and when you use the potions. Instead of keeping them for a kind of emergency cheat death, it's much better to use them proactively anytime your health is below maybe about 80% or so. Using one when you're about to die might just save you, but in a lot of cases you're going to go down before the hot has had time to kick in. Using them anytime your health is at or below 75% will subtly but significantly help you regain that lost health, and the further you are away from 0 health, the better the chances you have of avoiding hitting that floor. Tip number 10 is to visit the delve vendors. Have you been wondering what those undercoins are, or what you do with the Delver's bounty points? Well, these are basically for cosmetic rewards. The Delver's bounty is a seasonal bar filler that gradually unlocks rewards sold by Reno Jackson, who's standing next to Bran and Donegal. These are predominantly customizations for the Delver's dirigible mount, along with a toy hat and a transmog set. And as for the undercoins, Sir Finlay Murgleton on the other side has a bunch of unlocked rewards for you to buy, including more dirigible appearances and a bunch of warband catch-up gear tokens. Now, okay, I know I did say 10 tip, but I'm going to give you a bonus 11th that I just happen to have lying about. If you spot Reno Jackson or any other friendly NPCs in your delve, do talk to them and challenge them to a duel if they'll allow it. You'll actually get quite a nice buff out of defeating them. So there we have it, 10 top tips to boost your delve progress and hopefully the fun you have in them too. I've personally been having a blast in delves, but what about you? Are you enjoying delves, or are you just glad the Mythic Plus season has started and you can start ignoring them now? Do you have any useful tips for delves? Let us all know in the comments down below. If you've made it to the end of this video, then a huge thank you from me for staying the course. All of your watches, likes and subs make a huge difference to help my channel grow and reach a broader audience. And if you haven't already, then do make sure to hit that subscribe button. Subscribing is by far the best way to support my channel. And if you do subscribe, also consider hitting the bell icon so that you're notified whenever a video goes live. I have a ton of cool guides, previews and updates to come, along with my regular Saturday news update. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.